The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode, please visit undercountrymusic.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that game, that was a Milton Bradley game or Hasbro or something like that from when I was a kid back in the 70s. There's a game called Ants in My Pants, and I think you like fill this guy's pants up with ants, and then, you know, if the ants all spill out when you add your ant, then you're the one that loses, or something like that. I don't know. I like that song though. That sounded very Irish, and I love getting that international flavor here on the show, because you know what? It ain't all about the South. It's all over the place. I can't see this world unless I roam outside my Southern comfort zone. Southern comfort actually used to be one of my big vices. I love that stuff. It was like an 80 proof whiskey. You didn't need chaser to drink. Super sweet. That was my fuel back in the day. Not saying that like a good thing. I paid the price for chugging that fuel, but it is what it is. Anyway, I really ticked not that this is unusual. I really ticked a lady off on Facebook, was a couple days ago, and she was there. She's one of these people who are sounding the alarm about losing historic places in Nashville. And, that'll happen anytime you have a good historic town, and it goes through a boom time and things like that. You got to weigh preservation against, advancement. And, there's got to, in order to keep the flavor of what people enjoy about the city, you do have to keep a balance there. But, she's like, starting a GoFundMe campaign or something like that for her cause. And she wants to, she wants to preserve historic properties around Nashville. So I go and I click just to learn more about what she's doing. And she's doing a GoFundMe campaign to try to raise funds to see if she and her group can get control of a couple of properties down off Music Row. But the thing is that these two properties, two of them are dirt lots, and they have no musical history or other historical significance at all. Not that I know the history of every property, but if it did, I'm sure it would have been mentioned what the history was. One, a church lost their lease on the land and got torn down, and now it's a dirt lot. And that's a shame, but, it was a lease and they didn't own it, So that's what happens when you don't own stuff. Other people own it and they can decide what to do with it. And then the other one's a dirt lot and also with no historical value. And then the third property she's looking at trying to preserve is a sub shop. Okay. So your big battle cry here is to try and see if you can commandeer control of two dirt lots and a sub shop, none of which are yours. They belong to other people. I think I went on there and I said, okay, two properties with nothing on them and a sub shop. Good luck. And then she sent me back this really nasty letter and, asking me to keep my negative comments to myself. And it wasn't really a negative comment. It was more of just a true comment. If you've got a cause, be smart, pick your battles, pick smart battles. Like if you're going to fight for something and try to get people rallied behind you, if it's for historical preservation, you might want to start your cause getting people, gathered around, a property with some history behind it. I don't know. That's just me. Funny. I'm funny that way. Frickin' sue me. Because it's time for the Undercountry Music News! Not really. Anyway, the undercountry music news. I flip and flop around Google under the search term country music news each week, and I find the one or two actual news stories in a sea of fluff, garbage, and human interest stories. This week, compounded by all these stories of artists saying what they're thankful for, which is nice, but it ain't news. So my job is to cut through all that BS and bring you the actual country music news. All right? Keep it short and sweet. And if I go on a website that's supposed to have country music news and they got Jack Ola, nothing but, people saying how much, they're thankful for this and that, and or, what colored dress they wore on the red carpet, junk like that, I award that crappy country music news outlet with the dreaded Under Country Music News Wet Belch of the Week. And it sounds something like this. Yeah, that's right. I swallow air into my stomach, and then I kind of lean up against my desk to help it come to stinky fruition, as it were. Anyway, let's get into it here, okay? I'm not going to babble incessantly. Oh, I am going to babble incessantly, but I'm going to stay on topic this week. Over at CMT, the only story that's even partially a story is that Randy Travis attended a Joe Nichols concert. That's nice. And you know what? I'm glad he's on the mend. And, but is it really a news story every time the guy pops in some joint to hear a couple tunes? I guess it's a story because, he doesn't get out a whole lot since his heart attack and stroke and all that stuff. But good to see him out and about. I don't think it's news, but I guess it is nice to hear, though. So I guess maybe it is news. Anyway, moving along over to GAC, Great American Country. Celebrity Motorhomes Season 3 has officially kicked off at GAC, and they have a tour of Blake Shelton's Mobile Digs, along with George Clooney and more celebrities. I think Blake Shelton's probably the only country star they got. Though that they're at least touting anyway. That's all GAC has. So we got the two big ones, CMT and GAC, and they both barely slide under the wire of the Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week. That's okay. It's horseshoes and hand grenades, baby. Over at Taste of Country, Jake Owen praises Spotify. Since everyone's been bashing on Spotify over the last few weeks, Jake Owen actually is praising Spotify as a way to keep himself in front of a large audience, and also as a way to discover new music. Now, I'll admit that I personally am a complete idiot. Last week, I reported, and I even went so far as to put my comment down under the stories, under a couple of stories. Because Garth Brooks doesn't allow his music on Spotify, and the new Florida Georgia Line is not on Spotify. The new Justin Moore is not on Spotify, and all that. So I go over to Spotify, and I type in these artists to see who's not there. Because I was doing a story on Trisha Yearwood's Prize Fighter, and it wasn't there. But all her back catalog was showing up. And then I was like, well, here's all these Garth Brooks songs showing up. What are they talking? And, well, here's Justin Moore on Spotify. And then over here, there's Florida Georgia Line right there. So what are they talking about? And then, you know what? I realized this just last night. And I'm like, you're commenting on this. Like, what are you guys crazy? Well, Spotify was pulling results out of my iTunes that's local on my computer, because I have these songs, because I have them because I'm a professional event DJ. I have to keep up with whatever, hits the top of the charts. So I had all these songs, and the results I was seeing on Spotify were the ones that were in my own computer. And I feel like a real dumb A. So much for that. Glad nobody pays a whole lot of attention to me. but I am a total dork. And I'm thankful to have the grace of others. Also over at Taste of Country, Miranda Lambert, her new no-kill animal shelter just opened up in Oklahoma. Now, apparently she bought out an old animal control shelter that would gas dozens of animals at a time. Like sometimes 100 animals would get dropped off there. And she went in there and made massive renovations to the place. Gave the animals larger spaces and turned it into a no-kill shelter. Now, she only holds 50 animals at a time, though. So, I mean, there is a trade-off there, but, you do what you can, where you can, with what you got. That's good stuff there. I'm all for the aminals. Now, also over there at Taste of Country, there's a story that Garth Brooks has canceled all his promotional appearances this week. All of his talk show appearances, not concerts and stuff, to show sensitivity to the events in Ferguson. I've said enough about all that brouhaha, and, that's about as far as I'm going to care to go on that one. But you know what? I mean, he's canceling... Okay, I'll say a little something. He's canceling events in, like, New York over stuff happening in Missouri. Hello, that's what all these idiots want to do. They want to shut down everything everywhere. And this is just... I know Garth means well, but I think it's naive. He's just playing right into their hands. Anyway, that's enough on that. Enough Ferguson, enough Missouri, whatever, moving along. Over at Country Weekly, Toby Keith has a new video out for his song Drunk Americans, and you can watch it over there at Country Weekly. And, this song, it released a few weeks ago, doesn't exactly appear to be taking the world by storm. I'm sure Toby is doing just fine, though. He's made his money, and he's set for the rest of his life, and probably out just living the way he wants to. He's got his businesses and out playing the songs he wants to, and it's cool, baby. Now, the video itself is another one of those cartoon cutout looking things, kind of like the video for American Ride. You remember that one? Anyway, you go look at American Ride. Well, look at this one. It's all like the same kind of artwork. In my opinion, this song is not his best work either. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I mean, it's just a somewhat generic glass-raising, beer-drinking song about how when we're all one when we're drunk. Camaraderie and all that. And, I'll be interested to see what else he might have up his sleeve from this album. And I also have to tell you that I'm really curious as to why it took a couple of months to get a video out for this song. Maybe he's employing too many drunk Americans. All right, moving along, kicking it over to The Boot. Linda Ronstadt gives an update about her battle with Parkinson's disease. Apparently, she can only walk for a couple of blocks at a time, and unfortunately, singing is now out of the question for her. She says that, she can't hit any notes, and that when she tries to sing, it just kind of sounds like yelling. And, things like getting out of bed, brushing her hair, brushing her teeth, just daily things that a lot of us take for granted are a real challenge for her. So I would ask if you could take a minute and keep Miss Ronstadt in your prayers. All right, over at 615, the 615, which is a subsection of Billboard.com that is devoted to all things 615. 615 is the area code for the greater Nashville area. Okay, so I go to the 615, and they make me sit through a commercial in order to access that part of the website at all. Now, it's usually when you click on a certain feature, like a certain story, they'll make you sit through a commercial in order to read it. And that I can kind of stomach. I'm like, well, okay, I want to consume your content. I need to consume the advertising. That's okay. But I thought this was a little overbearing. But, I went ahead and clicked to play. And then I opened another tab on my computer to do something completely different while that played. And then I came back and noticed that nothing happened because the ad was requiring me to interact with it and click things in the ad so I could get through it and get to the site. Now, I'm like, huh? And that one was a new one on me. Not sure I loved that. I thought that was a little overdone. I think there's better ways to advertise. But anyway, I just hit refresh on the page, and then it let me in. Okay? And it showed me the headlines. But then when I clicked on a story, it still wanted me to sit through a commercial. And that's fair, okay? That's fair enough. Okay, I can deal with that. But anyway, they have stories over at the 615 about Ty Herndon and also Billy Gilman coming out as gay. You know, I think the bigger story is perhaps how much nobody gives a rat's a-hole. You know, this ain't the country music, community of 2 decades ago. And you know what? Plenty of female country artists have already come out as gay. They done paved the path, so these guys are not breaking new ground. Maybe personally for themselves, they've broke some ground, but I think it's pretty much a non-story. I really think it is. I mean, I think we can all get together and rejoice now about how much nobody gives a flying F, where Ty Herndon makes his pistol pop. And, I think that's a good thing. We need to get out of each other's beds. It's none of our damn business. Ty, you go be that gay butterfly you want to be. I am nobody to judge you. Fly on, fairy boy, fly on. Now, there's also a story about Country Insider's John Hamilton, president of Country Music Touring, Live Nation, Brian O'Connell, and president of Spalding Entertainment, Clarence Spalding. They all spoke at a panel on the 2014 Touring Conference and Awards at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City on November 20th, 2014. And they were talking about strategies for growing an artist, especially through touring, and how important that is to get out there and get in front of people one-on-one and personally. You got to get out, not in just the big cities and stuff. You got to get out to the more rural areas. You got to get out to Middle America. You got to get out to Iowa. You got to get out to Ferguson. I mean, look at that. They aren't, big on the country music there, and look what's happening there. The whole dang place is burning. Anyway, it's a really good read, great industry insights, and if you dig that kind of thing, get on over there. That's a really good read. All right, I'm going to move along to Nashville Gab right now. Another Ty Herndon story, and no, not about him being a Fruit Loop. He's talking about his 12 years of sobriety and how he hit rock bottom and is thankful for it. That hitting that bottom helped him to lay the foundation for where he is now. I paraphrased, and I kind of read things into that, which I do because it's my show, damn it. Anyway, you can hear the audio from this interview. You can click and hear it because I think it's a really cool thing they do over at Nashville Gab. I've bashed on them a lot for being a fluff destination, like a gossip thing. But one thing that they do really cool, they do bring you some stuff that no other place brings you. And then they also embed audio from Broadway's Electric Barnyard program over there, where they interview various people from the world of country music, and that's pretty damn cool. So get on over there and listen to that interview with Ty Herndon. It was interesting, okay? Anyway, I'm going to move along and wrap things up over at Country Standard Time. Hunter Hayes has canceled his show in St. Louis, Missouri due to the civil unrest caused by idiots who'd rather have criminals run their streets than to allow the police to protect them and themselves or lift a finger to support those who put their lives on the line every single day serving others. In other words, his concert was canceled by a-holes. But I suppose it had to be because it could be dangerous driving the streets there and going to a concert. So, in light of that, I think Hunter Hayes gets a pass on that one. But anyway, this has been your Undercountry Music News. I sing like Linda Ronstadt. Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of the weekly hour-long internet broadcast Undercountry Music, where I play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts. Get on over to undercountrymusic.com where you can listen and subscribe. Stay under, stay country.